Hey everyone, I want to shoot my AR-10 and then my AK-47. And what we're doing is we're paying attention to how much the gun pushes back on me, because I'm basically considering one versus the other for Mad Max Apocalypse anti-vehicle defense. Okay, so we're going to start off with this this Freedom Munitions 150 grains. This is the hottest 308 that I have in any large quantities. Out of the 16-inch AR-10, it gets 2,350 foot-pounds of energy. Okay. Okay. So again, the thing that you guys are mainly looking for is like the muzzle, like how much is it moving? Okay. So now we're going to do the AK-47. So this Russian Red Army standard, this has 1,500 pounds of energy. Okay, that's one of the problems with AKs. Okay, so this has 1,500 foot-pounds of energy. So the 308 has, I think, close to like 850 foot-pounds of energy more. Okay, so 850 foot-pounds less here. Okay. So here's an interesting thing. Because the AR-10 has the adjustable gas valve, okay, and I have it set to where it will like just like, you know, to the point where it will just barely lock back the gun. The felt recoil is about the same, maybe a little bit less. Like when I shot the AK, I could actually feel the stock slapping my face. Like I could feel the vibration up on the face on the stock. I could actually like feel it like almost like I'm being smacked. Pop, 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 pop. That's what that felt like. This was actually smacking me in the face. Now, this has an M4 stock. I mean, AKs were, I guess, originally designed to have wooden stocks, so that might be, you know, part of the reason. I don't know. But yeah, with this, like the recoil felt the same, except that with this, I felt like I was being face slapped. With this, I did not feel like I was being face slapped. Like I didn't feel anything on my face here. You know, I mean, I look forward to seeing the video to see how it was moving me back. It's starting to get dark now. So I mean, the sun's setting. So I'm wondering from that position where you guys were at, if we're going to see any muzzle flash. You know, these are both 16-inch barrels. I weighed them. The AK without the optic weighs 7.5 pounds. The AR-10 without the optic weighs 8.5 pounds. So the AR-10 is only 1 pound heavier. Okay. Hello everyone. So today we're going to be talking about AK-47 versus AR-10 for anti-vehicle defense. Okay, so obviously we're not talking about normal everyday home defense. We're talking about the Mad Max Apocalypse here. So let's put these guys down. So if you're like me, in my generation, these Romanian AKs were about $400, $500 when we were buying them at a time when ARs were like, a budget one was like $1,100, $1,200, maybe more. So a lot of us have AKs, and the question now becomes like, okay, what can we do with these AKs, since a lot of us have switched over to AR-15s. AR-15s have become very reliable, particularly after they got PMags and Lancer magazines. You know, the magazines initially were a problem with ARs. But you know, a lot of us have switched over to ARs. We've still got these AKs. ARs are not great for anti-vehicle defense. In fact, they're famously known for fragmenting as they go through multiple barriers. That's why SWAT teams like to use AR-15s, right? They moved away from like MP5s that shoot 9mm, and they're all using like 55 grain bullets because they fragment. Okay, so for vehicle defense, that probably is not a good choice, right? You don't want something that's going to fragment as it goes through multiple barriers. You want something that's going to hold together and do damage after it makes initial impact. Okay, so for that reason, I'm thinking, no question, AR-10 would be a better choice. Okay, I just got this one this past week, and I ran this through a chronograph. On 16-inch barrel, shooting 150 grains Freedom munition. This one gets 2350 foot-pounds, okay? 2,350 foot-pounds compared to AK-47 gets 1,500 foot-pounds, okay? So the AR-10 gets like an extra 800 plus foot-pounds of energy, okay? So yes, the AR-10 is a better choice, but you may not have an AR-10. You may only have an AK-47, which is going to be better against a vehicle than your 5.56, okay, versus your AR-15. So what I want to do is talk about some, like, what are we giving up? What are we gaining? I just put this on a scale without the magazine, right? Just the gun over here. Without the optic, I took out the weight of the optic. It's like nothing. It's like 3 ounces for this. It's 7.5 pounds. Okay, 16-inch barrel, 7.5 pounds. This AR-10 without the optic, without the magazine, 8.5 pounds. Okay, so this is the Palmetto PA-10 Gen 3. So 8.5 pounds. That's pretty good weight. I mean, you're only. I was almost a little surprised that it was only a pound heavier than the AK-47 because you're getting a lot more energy out of this. Right? We said about 800 plus foot-pounds of energy. But still, it is a pound lighter. Okay, it's a pound lighter. So that's one of the advantages of the AK-47. Right? It's a little bit lighter. You might have that. You may not have an AR-10. Another advantage is that 308 ammunition is a lot more expensive. So even guys like me, right, I've got thousands of rounds from going back many years for the AK-47. I only have a few thousand rounds of 308. Okay, so 308 is a lot more expensive. Most of us have a lot less of it, even if we have an AR-10. AK-47, if you were stockpiling back when you should have been, right, getting an AK-47 ammo cheap, you got several thousand rounds of AK-47 ammo. So the way, given that I have two, right, if I was going to guard a road, particularly with, let's say, with somebody else, I would take the AR-10, for myself, and then okay, what you got there? You got an AR-15? Here, use my AK-47. Okay, so that's a way that I would use my AK-47 to arm somebody else to help me accomplish my goal. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I like lots of guns, right? I prefer lots of cheap budget guns over, a few really expensive premium guns, because the way I see it, if I can arm multiple people, that's going to give me an advantage over me just having a Gucci gun and just being by myself. Okay. So that, in case you guys haven't thought about that possibility, I just kind of want to put it out there. AK-47, even if you are an AR-15 guy, the AK-47 might be a good choice for anti-vehicle defense, or for to arm somebody else to back you up if you have an AR-10. Now, speaking of vehicle defense, and I've talked about this in prior videos in detail, the width of most cars and small trucks is about 6 foot, okay, which is about the height of a man. So you can use the same way you auto range, distance, right, on the height of a man. You can use the width of a car that's charging at you to basically judge the distance and determine your holdovers. And the way I envision a Mad Max apocalypse type of situation, where you got a horde of vehicles charging at you, with either no armor or very light armor, I would like to engage them at distance, right, at my max distance, whatever that is with the gun. And the reason why I want to engage them at max distance is because here's the thing: you start shooting at 500 yards, if that vehicle's charging at you, they're gonna close the distance really quickly. Okay, so the way I would do it is I want to be able to know when it is at 500 yards, particularly with an AK. With the AR-10, I can engage a little further back, but with the AK, I wouldn't want to engage until 500 yards. So I want to determine where 500 yards is. If it's a large trucks are usually 8 feet wide. That's fine. We can use the same. We can go by the same measurement, because if we go by the same measurement, all that means is that we're going to engage at 600 yards versus 500 yards. And with that, and because it's bigger, we have a better chance of hitting it. Okay? And again, it's going to get from 600 yards to 500 yards pretty quickly, you know, as it's moving forward. So I'm not gonna. I don't overthink that. Okay. So I want to use the front bumper to auto range, right? Because it's about 6 foot wide, same height as a man. And if you have if you got an LPVO, that's great, because that gives you auto ranging in there. With this, all I would have to do is turn it sideways, turn the scope sideways, and I could, you know, if you have one of these primary arms ones, that gives you auto ranging on the side of the man. That's really easy stuff. If you've got a circle dot like I have here, right? I got 2 MOA dot with the 65 MOA circle. The way I would auto range a man at 500 yards, you got the little hashes on the. You got 4 hashes at the edges of your circle. Okay, when either a man is the same size as that hash, right? He's at 500 yards. Okay, when the front bumper matches one of those little hashes, okay, the 6 foot bumper, it's at 500 yards. If it happens to be a larger truck, well, it's at 600 yards. Okay, so what I would do if it's charging at me, right, Mad Max style, what I would do is with the AK, I would put once it gets to 500 yards, right, I would take the dot and I would put it on top of the windshield. So it's basically on top of the hood, and I would start firing. Now at that distance, what's going to happen is the bullets are going to hit like the bumper, basically, right? They're going to hit low, right, at the bumper. You're going to keep firing on that same position, and as the vehicle is coming at you, they're going to start climbing. Okay, so you're going to basically shoot through the engine, okay, and then as it gets closer inside, you know, gets to 200 yards, you're now shooting into the windshield. The bullets are going to climb up, right, through the top of the hood. Once it gets to the top of the hood, now it's going to start coming through the dashboard, and that's one of the places where I definitely want a heavier bullet, because I want it to be able to go through the hood, go through the dashboard, and get into the cab of the car or the truck. Okay, so once it gets close enough that you can pretty much see the driver, right? Then you start focusing on the driver. Okay, so that's with an AK-47. That's what I would do. I would put the dot, figure out where 500 yards is, and you can use the hashes on your circle dot. Put the dot on top of the windshield. Start shooting at it. Keep tracking it as it gets closer. When it gets close enough that you can see the driver, start focusing on the driver. Okay. Now with the difference there is, if I had, let's say, a 5.56, which is a little bit faster, instead of putting it on top of the hood, on top of the windshield, I would put it like at the top of the windshield on the inside, right? So instead of it being on, like, let's say this is your windshield here, right? So with the AK-47, the dot goes up here on top of your windshield. With an AR-15, with a 5.56, it goes here, right, at the top side of the windshield, and you start firing there. So yeah, just your holdover with a 5.56 or with a 308, right? If you got a 308 with a red dot, it's just going to be a little bit lower. It's going to be at the top of the windshield. Okay, and you just keep firing at it, and as it gets closer to you. So I did a whole video on that. So, you know, you guys, if you haven't seen that video, just look it up. Just look up, I guess, vehicle defense or Mad Max apocalypse, and it should come up. I put those kind of words in the search engine, you know, in the keywords, so it'll bring it up. So yeah, main point here is I wanted you guys to consider, if you got an AK-47 that's kind of like in the back of the safe, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with this? You know, I've been shooting ARs for so many years now, and I'm so much more comfortable with them. I see this as having an anti-vehicle defense role. It's a pound lighter. Okay. The bullets are a little bit smaller than your 308 rounds, so you can have a lot more of them. You should have a lot more of them. Okay, you can carry, even if you got to carry them out to position, you're going to be able to carry a lot more of the 7.62x39s versus your 308 rounds. So that can be an advantage. But yeah, you are giving up power. Okay, like I said, the 16-inch 308 in the AR-10, it's got 2350. And you're getting 2350 foot-pounds versus 1500 foot-pounds in the AK-47. Okay, so I also want to talk about accuracy, since we're talking about shooting at 500 yards. Okay, with the AR-10, I was shooting this at 100 yards yesterday. Right, that's the Palmetto PA-10 at 100 yards, 5-shot group. The total group, 1.5 inches. Okay, and I know I pulled those 2 shots over there. So the 4 out of 5, which I normally look at, is 1.25 inches. Okay, and I think I even pulled that one a little bit, and then I got a 1/2 inch group with the 3 shots right there. Okay, now of course that has a scope on it with an LPDO with AK-47. I just did this group before. Now this only has a red dot on it, right? A 2 MOA dot with a 65 MOA circle. There's no place back here where I can put a magnifier. I've tried mounting a scope on here. Your face is too high on the gun. The accuracy is actually less because the mount tends to move a little bit. So the best groups that I have gotten on my AK-47 are with the red dot mounted in that position right there. Okay? So with the AK-47, I was shooting Red Army standard, right? Steel case ammunition, and again, I have found that the steel case, I get the better, because I have brass 7.62x39, it shoots worse. Okay, so I shot 5 groups. Now the dot is about the size of my hand here, so it's kind of basically I'm trying to center this as best as I can on the paper because I can't really hold on that. So the total 5 shots was about 6 inches. Okay. I'm gonna say maybe I pulled that one over there, right? Maybe I just wasn't holding good. So I'm gonna like usual. I'm gonna look at the best 4 out of 5, and the 4 out of 5, I've got 3 inches. Okay, so 3 inches at 100 yards. 3 inches at 100 yards. Okay, is 30 inches at 1,000 yards. Okay, so it's about that big. Okay, not that 7.62x39 is going to be effective out to 1,000 yards, but you cut that in half. That's 15 inches at 500 yards. So 15 inches at 500 yards just using a red dot. If you know what your hold is, right? On the man, right? It's basically at 500 yards. It's the height of the man. So head to foot, you take that, you hold that over at 500 yards. Now, of course, the man's a lot skinnier and smaller. The vehicle is going to be bigger, so you got a better chance of hitting it. So it's more ideal for that type of a target at 500 yards. Okay, but yeah, 15 inches. 3 MOA here, right? With just the 2 MOA dot at 100 yards is going to give you 15 inches at 500 yards. Even if it's 20 inches, I mean that's very doable. Okay. Hey guys, I want to show you guys the best group I ever got with an AK-47 using that red dot, and that was at 200 yards, 3 3/4, and that's just using the dot, because there's no way to put a magnifier on it. So I mean, if I could mount a scope on there, I mean, it might be a 1 MOA gun. I just have no way of knowing it. When I put the scope on there, right, because of the way it attaches with the side mount, the groups actually open up and they become worse. So if you got an AK, I think this is how I've gotten the best groups. Okay, so right there, 3 3/4 inches, 200 yards. I saved it.